Without any further ado, I would like to welcome to the stage Dermot King and leave you in his very good hands.
Right, good morning. Two things you need to be aware of when you're doing public speaking. The first is not to be the last person on the day, and the second is to not follow the Mayor of London. What I want to talk to you, and by the way, we need to lock the doors and don't let anybody out because we're going to talk about VAT, and it is an interesting subject. But where I particularly want to start is not in VAT. Where I want to start is in a Times article from earlier on this year. And the Times article is headed, "Seaside Schools Are Struggling Against the Tide." And if I go on to explain what some of the article says, some of the worst educational performances are now in areas such as East Anglia, Lincolnshire, Northumberland, Weston-super-Mare, Scarborough, Clacton, Margate, Hastings, Torbay and Blackpool. And David Blunkett, the former Education Secretary, is quoted as saying, "It's a lack of ambition or desire to do better than the parents that is most noticeable about the school results." Now, this is a tourism summit, not an education summit, of course, and the point about the Cut Tourism VAT campaign is it's not a fight for VAT or for tax. It's actually a fight for ambition. And ambition is delivered by thriving industries. And thriving industries drive ambition by creating opportunities for young people to get on. And where we have seen a thriving industry, except for London, we've seen that the tourism industry around the rest of the UK, and particularly in seaside towns, isn't thriving enough so that its young kids have the ambition to get on. And the biggest single driver of that is lack of a competitive environment. And the biggest reason for a lack of competitive environment is the VAT landscape. When it costs you 20p in the pound to stay in a hotel in Clacton, but only 8p in the pound to stay in a hotel in Barcelona, you have to wonder, have we got our priorities right? And the one area, and by the way, on average, just to broaden it out, the UK is between twice and 3 times as expensive as the rest of Europe when it comes to tourism services and supplies. And in one area in the UK where this competitive edge is observed on a day-to-day basis, and that is in Northern Ireland, where it's 20p in the pound on one side of the border, 9p a pound on the other side of the border. And so who better to share the thoughts and experiences on this competitive edge than Northern Ireland's Minister for Enterprise, Trade and Investment, Jonathan Bell. And I welcome him aboard.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dermot, for that very kind introduction. Can we bring from Northern Ireland our own thoughts and condolences with what has occurred in Tunisia? And can also say it's an immense pleasure for me to be here to share with you what we're doing in Northern Ireland at what is a very important occasion for the UK's hospitality and tourism industry. Thank you for allowing me to follow Boris. I've entitled this speech Degrees of Disappointment, but just a few weeks on since I was appointed as the Minister for Enterprise, Trade and Investment, we're the body that's responsible for tourism strategy and policy, and I'm delighted to be able to share with such a distinguished group of speakers today. I mean, I wish you could have been with me in almost my first weekend of office, because we had the Dubai duty-free Irish Open at Royal County Down, I think the 4th best golf course, links golf course in the world. We had the Pro 12 rugby final at the Kingspan Stadium in Belfast. It was Munster against Glasgow Warriors. It should have been Munster against Ulster, but after 75 minutes, any Scots here, the Glasgow come in and took that with a wonderful try towards the end. But you would have seen a Northern Ireland in all of its beauty, with everything that it has to offer. The stunning mountains of Mourne, gone on to a golf course, 107,000 paying spectators. Only the second time the Irish Open has ever been sold out, and it's coming back again in 2017, and we're hoping to bring the Open back again in 2019. We built our new Titanic Centre in Belfast. They told us it would only, we should be looking at 375,000 people, and today I can tell you we brought just short of 2.1 million people to date from 183 countries in the world. But on that weekend, with the golf and with everything else, our hospitality and tourism sector was as alive as I've ever seen it be in my lifetime. Can I express, first of all, my wholehearted support for the summit theme, Together We Are Stronger, because I'm convinced that there's a great deal that all of us can do to achieve that competitiveness that we've just heard about, of what is a hugely important industry, if we work together as closely as we possibly can. Because together we can together we can influence government policy that'll enable the industry to realize the massive potential that it has as a driver of economic growth, and also to address the challenges that are faced by regions, especially those of us who are on the periphery, like Northern Ireland. We all recognise the potential of the tourism and hospitality industry, as has the government, which has placed it as a top priority for long-term economic growth, especially as a generator of significant employment opportunities. Positioning tourism and hospitality at the heart of Northern Ireland's new programme for government economic strategy is a key objective for me. We need to build on the achievements of the past 5 years, and those achievements have been many. In 2014, for example, we attracted a record 4.5 million visitors, generating a total revenue of £751 million for the local economy. Of this revenue, £68 million was earned from 389,000 Republic of Ireland visitors, and £446 million came from 1.8 million visitors from GB and overseas. The statistics are certainly impressive, and it means that we are well on track to reach Northern Ireland's £1 billion target for tourism revenue by 2020. But while our report card indicates that we have done well and that we have worked hard, it also suggests that we could do much better. And I'm confident that we will do much better in the next 5 years. The scope for faster growth is evident when one considers that tourism in Northern Ireland represents just 5.2% of the gross domestic product and supports 5.4% of jobs in the total workforce. And this compares to England, where tourism contributes 8.8% of GDP and represents 9.4% of total jobs. Scotland, where it is 10.3% of GDP and 10.9% of jobs. And of course, Wales, where the figure is 13.9% of GDP and 14.9% of jobs. So our immediate aim is to drive our GDP from tourism to the level of England, then the level of Scotland, because achieving this would make a huge impact on our economy and employment. It would also help meet a core strategy of the Northern Ireland Executive to transform our economy into one driven by the private sector rather than the public sector, which is currently the case. Our industry currently supports 43,000 jobs. As I said, 5.4% of the total workforce, or 1 in every 18 jobs. Also significant is that these jobs are spread right across Northern Ireland. In fact, the tourism and hospitality industry is probably the only industry that generates jobs in every constituency and at every skills level in Northern Ireland. Tourism actually contributes more to our local economy than agriculture. Both sectors are based in virtually every part of Northern Ireland, and the relationship between the two is becoming increasingly important. Visitors expect good local food, they expect excellent hotels, and they expect restaurants that are serving the best of what we locally produce. So over the past few years, we have seen significant investment in hotels, restaurants and cafes, particularly outside the Greater Belfast area, many of which have won acclaim from food and travel writers from Britain and further afield for the quality of their menus and the services that are provided. Our food companies have helped to showcase the quality of the produce by their success in international competitions such as the UK Great Taste Awards and the World Cheese Awards. Indeed, Northern Ireland had more food producers listed in the top 50 than any other part of the UK last year, apart from the Greater London area. And that is pretty good going for the UK's smallest region. So we intend to harness the international potential of our tourism and hospitality and food industries further in 2016, which we have designated as a year of food and drink. It should be an immensely important and exciting year. It's certainly the case that tourism in Northern Ireland has been on an upward trajectory, helped by a programme of major events such as the hosting of the World Police and Fire Games, the Giro d'Italia, Grand Partenza, and major golf tournaments that I've mentioned earlier, as well as openings of major attractions such as the Titanic Belfast and the Giant's Causeway Visitors Centre. Screen tourism offers a huge opportunity for Northern Ireland to position itself internationally and to boost our economy. Game of Thrones, shown in over 70 countries, is filmed on location in Belfast and in many spectacular locations right across Northern Ireland. Jetting tourism and tourists are highly motivated, and the Game of Thrones fans are no exception in their search for the real Westeros. Indeed, HBO Research recently voted Northern Ireland as number 3 in a list of film and TV places that people most wanted to visit. Next week, we'll also be hosting the Tall Ships Race, a maritime festival that up to 1 million people may experience on the shores of Belfast Lough. We'll be hosting the Open Championship tournament in the not-too-distant future, and we're bidding for the 2023 Rugby World Cup as well. Our conferencing business has also grown substantially and will be supported by a significant number of efforts, and we will extend our waterfront hall right in the centre of Belfast, and that's why we are looking towards investment in facilities and hotels over the next few years. So there's certainly scope for further investment in the hospitality sector in both the short and the long term, driven by our strategy, our commitment to the industry within its focus on faster growth on tourism. Potential investors will see the strength of our commitment to the industry in a new and a far-reaching strategic plan that's currently under development. What we aim to do is to further strengthen the industry's support system for developments in infrastructure, facilities, amenities, and professional marketing abroad. This will provide a pathway to prosperity by protecting and managing the industry strategically. Another important aspect of our hospitality offering is that of skills, which is also being addressed by means of a collaborative body involving both the private and the public sectors. The group is looking specifically at the skills needed to equip the tourism industry to meet the potential growth within its sector and how these needs can best be addressed. This includes encouraging tourism to be a career of choice. As many of you will be only too aware, the hospitality and tourism industry has for far too long been perceived as being low paid, being low skilled, and offering few worthwhile career opportunities. So we're working to challenge that perception, to change that perception. And I'm delighted to report that we're getting considerable success. For instance, Tourism Northern Ireland, in partnership with People First, have been successfully rolling out the World Host Customer Service Programme in Northern Ireland since 2012, with over 16,000 people now upskilled to level 2 in customer service. We recognise, as I think you all do, that people are crucially important in the overall customer experience. As I said earlier, we've made great progress in the development and the delivery of our tourism and hospitality product, on major events, on global marketing campaigns to ensure success and to bring maximum economic benefit back to the local economy. However, there are several major challenges that face hospitality and tourism in Northern Ireland. Some are shared with other parts of the UK, and they would therefore require a UK-wide response and a means of addressing these challenges from a together we are stronger approach. The main challenges facing Northern Ireland, and I'm sure they don't come as any surprises to you: VAT on hospitality, which is substantially lower in the Republic of Ireland; corporation tax, again substantially lower in the Republic; the absence of air passenger duty in the Republic; and also visa differences. On corporation tax, the UK government has indicated a willingness to devolve this power to the Northern Ireland Devolved Administration. At the heart of the problems impacting our competitiveness is our land border with the Republic. We are the only part of the UK with a land border with another EU member state. On VAT, the Republic, as I'm sure many of you are already aware, operates a 9% VAT rate on hospitality against 20% in Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. And this disparity really does impact on our industry, particularly in terms of tourists and other visitors from the Republic. It usually means that tourists in the Republic wishing to visit Northern Ireland do so on a short-term basis, frequently on a one-day trip. For Northern Ireland and for the UK, I believe this is really about the opportunity lost in terms of visitor numbers and revenue because of our restrictive VAT rate on hospitality. Furthermore, the Republic's experience is that reducing VAT really does work. It created over 30,000 new jobs there, and it added over £150 million to the Irish economy. Cutting VAT to my mind, makes sound economic sense. In fact, it's a no-brainer. But it's not something that Northern Ireland can currently afford because of the challenges in the local economy. However, we'll continue to lobby the UK government to address the VAT on hospitality, and will welcome support from the wider industry and from other UK administrations. Research has indicated that the 20% VAT rate adversely impacts the hospitality sector's cost base, affecting the industry's ability to offer a high-quality visitor experience. I'm convinced that any reduction in the VAT rate for the accommodation and hospitality sectors, if passed on to our customers by way of reduced costs, could result in increased demand for tourism offerings, as well as increased recruitment, investment, and expansion right across the UK. Our position on the periphery of the UK and Europe makes connectivity, especially to international hubs such as Heathrow Airport, a crucially important issue. Efforts that are supported by business organisations are currently underway to protect the air links between Belfast and Heathrow. Extensive air access is a key enabler for inbound tourism, and air access is one of the strategic priority areas for economic development and for tourism growth. As a regional economy, Northern Ireland is highly dependent on air routes to access existing markets in Great Britain and further afield. Maintaining existing air routes and securing new air routes are vital to responding to tourists' desire to experience new holiday destinations. New routes to mainland Europe, especially to Germany and to North America, are currently priorities for us. Business travellers, in addition, are seeking direct flights into Northern Ireland, and they are a high-yield sector, and good access is a key requirement to build Northern Ireland's position as a destination for conferences, for events, and for further investment. Let me finish by saying, come to Northern Ireland, experience what we have to offer. We have in Hospitality Ulster, and they are here today, and we have in the Hotels Federation and Group some of the very finest and best people in the industry, and I encourage you to come and to taste and see. Thank you very much.